Chapter 8 of Gold by Stewart Edward White. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Panama. We arrived early in the afternoon, and we were all eyes. For here was a city taken directly from the pages of the boy's own pirate. Without the least effort of imagination, we could see Morgan or Kidd or some other old swashbuckler, cutlass in teeth, pistols in hand, broad-sashed, fierce, and ruthless, rushing over the walls or through the streets, while the cathedral bells clanged wildly and women screamed. Everything about it was of the past, for somehow the modern signs of American invasion seemed temporary and to be blown away. The two-story wooden houses with corridor and veranda across the face of the second story, painted in bright colors, leaned crazily out across the streets toward each other. Narrow and mysterious alleys led up between them. Ancient cathedrals and churches stood gray with age before grass-grown plazas, and in the outskirts of town were massive masonry ruins of great buildings, convent and colleges, some of which had never been finished. The immense blocks lay about the ground in a confusion, covered softly by thousands of little plants, or soared against the sky in broken arches and corridors. Vegetations and vines grew in every crevice, and I saw many full-sized trees rooted in mid-air. The place was strongly fanciful, and I loved to linger there. To me the jungle seemed like an insidiously beautiful creature enveloping thus, little by little, its unsuspecting prey. The old gray, tumbled ruins seemed to be lost in dreams of their ancient days, and through the arches and empty corridors open to the sky breathed the melancholy air from a past so dead and gone and buried and forgotten that of it remained no echo, no recollection, no knowledge, nothing but squared and tumbled stones. To tell the truth, I generally had these reflections quite to myself. The body of the town was much more exciting. The old dilapidated and picturesque houses had taken on a new and temporary smartness of modernity, consisting mainly of canvas signs. The main street was of hotels, eating houses, and assorted halls. It was crowded day and night, for we found something over 1,000 men here awaiting the chance of transportation. Some had been here a long time and were broke and desperate. A number of American gambling joints did a good business. Native drinking houses abounded. The natives were in general a showy lot, but too lazy even to do a good job at fleecing the stranger within their gates. That was therefore undertaken, and most competently, by the enterprising foreigners of all nations. Foreigners kept 2 of the 3 hotels, as is indicated by their names: the Hotel Francis, Fonda Americano, and the Washington House. Americans ran the gambling joints. French and Germans mainly kept the restaurants. We stopped over one day at the Fonda Americano, and then realizing that we were probably in for a long wait, we found 2 rooms in a house off the main street. These we rented from a native at a fairly reasonable rate. They were in the second story of a massive stone ruin whose walls had been patched up with whitewash. The rooms were bare and geometrically cat-cornered and extraordinarily chilly, like vaults, but they gave out on a charming, unkept walled garden, with a stone fountain in the middle, whose features were all rounded by time and blurred with moss, with tall ragged bananas and taller wind-swept palms, and a creeping lush tangle of old plants, and the damp soft greenness of moss, and the elfin tinkling of little waters. On our balcony the sun shone strong, so that we could warm our chilled bones gratefully like lizards against the wall. We tried all the restaurants one after the other, and found them about equally bad. We also went in once for a real Spanish dinner. It consisted of a succession of dishes, highly seasoned with the hottest sort of pepper, generally drowned in rich gravy, and composed of such things as cheese, chunks of meat, cornmeal, and the like. Any one of these dishes would have been a fine strength test for the average unsophisticated stomach. But your true Spanish dinner consists of a dozen of them. We had horrible indigestion. In one place kept by a German, we were treated very disagreeably, and overcharged so badly that Yank vowed he intended to get even. As to just how he was going to do it, he maintained a deep silence, but he advised us he would eat there the following evening. Also, he asked 4 or 5 other men with whom we had become friendly to meet us at the restaurant. We met, ate our meal leisurely, and had a very good time. "Now," said Yank to us, "when we get up, you fellows all go right out the front door and keep going till you get to the Fonda bar. And there you wait for me. No lingering now. Do as you're told." We did as we were told. After about 15 or 20 minutes, Yank sauntered in. "Now," said Johnny, "I hope you'll explain. We're much obliged for your dinner party, but we want to know what it's all about." "Well," chuckled Yank, "I just dealt the Dutchman what you might call idle persiflage until you fellows had been gone a few minutes, and then I held out my $1. "'What's that?' says he. "'That's $1,' says I, 'to pay for my dinner.' "'How about all those other fellows?' said he. "'I got nothing to do with them,' says I. 'They can pay for their own dinners.' And after a while I come away. He was having some sort of Dutch fit, and I got tired of watching him." Outside the walls of the city was a large encampment of tents in which dwelt the more impecunious and more economical of the miners. Here, too, had been located a large hospital tent. There was a great deal of sickness, due to the hardship of the journey, the bad climate, irregular living, the overeating of fruit, drinking, the total lack of sanitation. In fact, only the situation of the city, out on an isthmus in the sea breezes, I'm convinced, saved us from pestilence. Every American seemed to possess a patent medicine of some sort, with which he dosed himself religiously in and out of season. A good many, I should think, must have fallen victim to these nostrums. Each morning regularly we went down to harass the steamship employees. Roughly speaking, some 300 of us had bought through passage before leaving New York, and it was announced that only 52 additional to those already aboard could be squeezed into the first steamer. The other 248 would have to await the next. Naturally, every man was determined that he would not be left, for such a delay in such a place at the time of a gold rush was unthinkable. The officials at the steamship office had no easy time.